Welcome back to Access Anime. My name is Henshin Ikeda, and today I'll be doing a walkthrough and review of Magi episode 20. Now, if you remember from last episode, we actually find out Alibaba received Sinbad's dagger as a replacement for his broken dagger. Now, at the same time, he can transfer his Dajin into his new dagger, so it makes a lot of sense, in my opinion. However, we are taken to a different scene with Morgana. Guess what? She becomes a household member, and in order to become a household member, however, she has to pick out a vessel or a weapon, and she picks shackles. Now, she could have chosen an earring or something along those lines, jewelry, but she picks her shackles, which I thought was hilarious. She has an emotional attachment, so it kind of makes sense. However, we are taken to a different scene with the prince and princess of the Ku Empire. Now, we were expecting just the prince to show up. However, the princess also tags along. Apparently, when Sinbad was in the Ku Empire, he defiled the princess, or at least that's what the princess was claiming. However, it was a big ruse. One of the princess's subordinates actually set the whole thing up. End result being, no, Sinbad did not defile the princess, but it was hilarious. However, at the end of the episode, we find out the prince of the Ku Empire wants to fight the Ku Empire and is siding with Sinbad and wants Sinbad's help in general. What? But again, that's where the episode ends, and I'll hold my final thought and rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right on in. So we open up this episode with Sinbad, and he's telling the prince of the Ku Empire, in general, don't do it. You want to fight? Good for you, but you know what? How about you get a little more knowledgeable in Syndra and, learn from everyone else around you before you go ahead and start doing stupid things. Plain and simple, that's what he said, at least in my own words. And he also points out to the prince, I want you to meet Alibaba. Why? That was my first question. Why? Alibaba is a former monarchy, so he's no longer, a prince technically. So why? He's not cocky. He doesn't want to attack, the Ku Empire at all. He wants to fight for Bolbad, but why introduce the prince of the Ku Empire to the former prince of, Bolbad, which is Alibaba? We don't really know, but anyways, that's where we open up with. However, moving on past that, we are taken to a different scene with Char and Alibaba. Guess what? They're drinking, and it looks like they're in a brothel, because we see all these women surrounding Char. One of them was surrounding Alibaba, but Char takes the girls in. Now, I'm pretty sure this is either a brothel or a bar. Either or, doesn't really matter. Now, we do see Alibaba getting chummy with Ekaterina, which is this god-awful, giant, ugly, hideous woman. And I was like, we've seen her before, and I thought it was hilarious and definitely worth mentioning. And we have no idea if they actually were bumping heads and whatnot, sleeping together afterwards. Thank God we don't know, because I don't want to know, but we are taken to a different scene with Yuma and Aladdin. Now, apparently they're training, and Aladdin, he still has a long way to go, but he's looking pretty good. He's getting there. Now, we're taken to a different scene with Char and Alibaba, and they're training. However, Alibaba still sucks. Plain and simple, he still sucks. And now, I thought this was definitely worth mentioning. Char, he points out to Alibaba, there's another way around this. You can do this another way. And Alibaba was all excited. He's like, tell me, tell me, tell me. And then Char basically said, yeah, you'll find out on your own. More or less. I was like, more or less? What? Dude, don't leave Alibaba in the fucking dark. He can barely do shit on his own. Char, you're a moron. But you're a teacher, so you must have a way of doing things. To each their own. That's all I'm going to say about that. However, we are taken to a different scene with Morgana. And all I can say is, her household vessel, her shackles, they've been cleaned up and they look freaking amazing in my opinion. However, they're no longer just shackles, they're anklets. And these anklets are, well, they're kind of nice. I mean, it looks like a firebird that's on them. She had them nicely cleaned up, and we see a firebird on them, and they look kind of nice. And then she does this sexy pose, and I love it. She has her anklets on, she does a sexy pose. And while she's doing her sexy pose, she hits both Aladdin and Alibaba with the chains that are attached to the anklets. And I'm like, she doesn't even know how the hell to use them, and yet somehow she hits Aladdin and Alibaba by accident. I'm like, I would hate to have her on my side. However, we are taken to a different scene with Morgana, and she thinks these anklets are still just for decoration. She still doesn't know what to do with them. They're just for show for now. Now, yes, I understand Aladdin does try to give her some great advice, but Morgana comes right back at him, as well as Alibaba in general. Apparently, she wants the strength to help both of them. That was her end result. So, okay, I see where she's coming from. She wants the strength to at least protect Aladdin and Alibaba, regardless of these new paperweights she has on her legs. But however, we are taken to a different scene with the Ku Empire's princess and the prince, because they just appear out of nowhere. Apparently, they've been searching for Alibaba, Aladdin, and everyone else in general, because that's what Sinbad, told them to do. Go seek these people out, and that's what they did. Now, apparently, they're getting all chummy. They're talking, and I'm like, okay, so what are you guys really talking about? So we're taking to a different scene with the prince of the Ku Empire, and he's trying to tell Alibaba everything that's happening in Balbad, everything that's happening with the Ku Empire, their plans. And I thought this was definitely worth mentioning, because Alibaba, although he's trying to pay attention, he hears this really creepy voice inside of him say, kill the prince, kill this kid. And I'm like, okay, so Alibaba, are you having a nervous breakdown? Maybe? No. I was just like really freaked out when I heard this. I'm like, who is this voice inside of Alibaba's head? And the whole time we hear this voice, Alibaba's not paying attention to the prince at all. And then we see these spots on his arm, like these little black spots. And then he gets sick. Yeah, Alibaba gets kind of sick, and now he's in pain. Now he's taken to the infirmary, and we thought, well, at least I thought, I'm like, okay, so is he dying? What the hell's up? Isnan. He pops right out of Alibaba, like poof. I'm like, what the fuck? Isnan. I didn't see this coming. No, I seriously didn't. So we are taken to a different scene with Sinbad. He rushes right into the infirmary, and he tries to take out Isnan, but yeah, that's not really going to work, because Isnan's technically not physically there. Magically, I guess he's there, but he's just not there in physical form. You can't just poke him. It's like the Pillsbury Doughboy's not going to go hoo-hoo. That ain't going to happen. He's like just all magical. I'm like, it still was worth watching. I mean, I liked it in general. Now, Isnan points out he's doing what his father wanted. Now, I believe when Isnan said what his father wanted, he was actually referring to the leader of the organization that he works for, Al Thaman or whatever. I believe that's who he was referring to. However, he does point out he wants both Alibaba and Sinbad to become Black Kings and surrender. I like the title of Black Kings, that's kind of nice, but I don't see Alibaba or Sinbad going over to the dark side anytime soon. I mean, that's just not their style. Now, we are taken to a different scene with Isnan, and he's basically explaining to them that he's attached a curse onto Alibaba and Sinbad. And apparently it's going to stunt their Magio, like stop their Magio from flowing within them, so they're going to be less magical, I guess. That's the gist of it. At least that's what I got from that. And apparently they're going to slowly start to turn into like dark butterflies, which is called Rook. So those Rook, those gold butterflies you usually see around Sinbad and Alibaba. Well, supposedly over time they're going to turn into black butterflies, and that's what Isnan was actually pointing out. So that kind of sucks. Now we are taken to a different scene with Isnan, and he just vanishes after laying this bombshell worth of crap on everyone. So he just vanishes, and apparently he says he'll be waiting at the darkness of Devriety. I'm like, well, what the hell is the darkness of Devriety? I mean, where is that a location? Is that just something you pulled out of your ass? I'm gonna be here. It's like, yeah, I'll be located next to the place that would have been Antarctica. Oh wait, that's outer space. We're going above now. Sorry, I'm just pulling that out of my ass. But you get where I'm going with this. He didn't really tell his real location. He just said the darkness of depravity. I'm like, that's not much of a location. But sorry, I'm making a big deal about it because I'm like, well, if I want to hunt you down, I don't even know where the hell to find you. So I thought, what the fuck? But anyways, we are taking two different scenes. And kind of a light update. Now, we do find out both Sinbad and Alibaba are both infected. So now it's clear. However, we are taking to a different scene with Sinbad. And he points out curses don't exist. It's just magic. Plain and simple, it's magic. So he turns to one of his generals, Yuma, or Yumer. Again, shortening of her name is Yuma. And Yuma basically points out this is the black marks that are on you is caused by magic. And the only way to undo this magic is to find the caster, because only the caster knows how to undo it. Because she's never seen dark magic like this before, or black magic per se. So I was like, okay, so now they've got to hunt down Isnan. I don't really see that happening anytime soon, so I thought that was kind of funny. However, we are taking to a different scene with Sinbad, and he points out farther south on an island of Torin, or Torin people. I thought that was kind of funny, because Torin people, which would be the island of Torin, so I'm calling it the island of Torin and not the Torin people, because it just don't make sense. But sorry, I digress. Again, Sinbad points out farther south on the island of Torin, there is a dungeon, the 61st dungeon called Zagin. And apparently, if it's conquered, you can actually heal yourself wounds, illnesses, and what have you, and this curse or whatever, or this magical curse will be gone. So apparently he wants Alibaba, Sinbad, Morgana to actually go to the island of Torin. Now he points out he cannot go with them. I'm like, okay, so Sinbad, you're sending these kids off to their doom pretty much, and you have 7 frickin' Dajin. Why can't you go with them? You may be infected, but so is Alibaba. What's the dealio? Apparently his 7th Dajin, when he completed the 7th dungeon and got his 7th Dajin, his 7th Dajin basically said, that's it. You don't get any more Dajin. You can't go to any more dungeon. I'm like, that's part of the contract. I'm like, so I can't wait to see this 7th Dajin of Sinbad's, because apparently they made a contract together. With each Dajin you make a contract, I guess, and with the 7th Dajin basically told Sinbad, you can't have any more Dajin, you can't go into any more dungeons, you're done. That's part of the contract. So that's why Sinbad can't go with Alibaba and anyone else, because if he goes into a dungeon, he'll just be spit back out. So that kind of makes sense. Now we are taken to a different scene with the prince of the Ku Empire, and he actually gets to join the group. So I definitely thought that was worth mentioning. And now we are taken to sea. I know we went straight to being with Sinbad to on the open sea. Alibaba, the prince, Morgana, Aladdin, everyone's together now. And of course one of Sinbad's generals also with them. Now moving on past that, they were attacked. Already they were attacked by an ugly giant seahorse. Yeah, literally it was a seahorse, a giant ugly seahorse. And I thought, oh shit, the shit's hit the fan even more. Your adventure just started and you're already fucked. Now one of Sinbad's generals, Paisty, I hope I pronounced her name right, Paisty, she was actually able to calmly turn this monster away without even fighting it. I'm like, what the hell? It's like, this is not the droid you're looking for. And she basically put her hands technically over the droid, well, not the monster, but she did something that was almost similar in that little example I just gave, and the monster turns around and just stops while the boat keeps going. I'm like, did I just see that? I think I just saw that. So a little information that's being thrown at us for Paisty, because we don't know shit about Paisty. Apparently, she can use her Rook, which is her Magio, that's part of her Rook, to match the, I hope I get this right, to match the wavelength of her voice and her flute to speak with animals in general. I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense, I guess. And apparently she's also older than Alibaba. What? The girl's like, I mean, she can talk to animals through her flute and whatnot, and that's cool, but she's not old. No, she does not look older than Alibaba, but somehow she points out, yeah, I'm older than you. Okay, you got no tits. You're a little midget girl. I know there's such things as midgets in the world, but I'm like, she looks like a 7-year-old. And yet somehow Alibaba's like, what? You're older than me? However, we are taken to a different scene, and finally we're on the island of Torin. And all the Torin people are very active. They're not excited, but they're motivated, they're excited, they're selling stuff like a little miniature trading village. I'm like, okay, that was kind of interesting. Now, right off the bat, we see 2 dark characters leaving the port and going onto the island. Now, we have no idea who these 2 dark characters are, but I have a feeling we're going to see probably more of them. Hopefully a lot more, because we don't know their names. Are they good, bad? All I can tell you is we see 2 dark-looking characters that are heading toward the dungeon. I wonder if they're going to enter the dungeon. We really don't know. However, moving on past that, we see a little girl talk to Alibaba, and apparently we don't know what her name is, but she lost 2 of her parents to the dungeon. We don't know how or anything beyond that, but she wants Alibaba to basically take her with her. So this girl wants to join Alibaba's group to go into the dungeon. Alibaba says, no, ain't gonna happen. But then he kind of stumbles on it, and then the prince from the Ku Empire basically says, I'll do it. I'll go in. You're not gonna go with us though, just putting that out there. She's not going with the group, but the prince basically says, you know what? I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna see what I can do. I'm like, what the fuck? When did you grow balls, man? I know you're all this extra energy and you want to take down the Ku Empire, but what the fuck? Alibaba's the one that's in control here, and you decide, oh yeah, I'm definitely we're gonna take care of a kid. I'm like, you're keeping the kid's hopes up. Unless that was a lie, now you got something you have to do now. So there you go. Now you got something to do in the dungeon. Now moving on past that, we are thrown with a little information about Zoggin, which is the dungeon. Apparently, it devours people. I was like, a dungeon that devours people. Something just ain't right there. Now, I don't know about you, but a dungeon that eats people, reminds me of the Labyrinth, kind of the movie The Labyrinth. Although technically it didn't eat people. People would enter it and they just get lost on purpose because of the the demons and whatnot. But that somewhat reminds me of the Labyrinth, the movie with Jim Henson. Love that movie, by the way. But anyways, we are taken to a different scene with the group in general: Alibaba, Aladdin, Morgana, and the Prince, and so on and so forth. They actually arrive at Zogan and they get sucked right into the dungeon right off the bat, and Alibaba knows the feeling. But again, that's where the episode ends. As for final thoughts, okay, first of all, is this dungeon alive, Zogan? We don't really know. And what does the dungeon of this dungeon look like? And what's the power? We still don't know. I can't wait to find out. As for this little girl, which we don't know the name of, I'm wondering, is the prince actually going to save her parents, or at least seek revenge for them? We don't really know. And are these parents still alive? Are they just, all these people that get eat up by the dungeon, are they just inside, or were they transformed into something? We really don't know. But again, that ends it for my final thoughts. As per my rating, 4 out of 5. I want to give this a 3.5 out of 5 because it kind of pissed me off most of this episode. But at the same time, I did laugh, so allow me to point out why I'm giving this a 4 out of 5 instead of a 3.5 out of 5. Was there fighting? No. I want to say yes on some scale, but no. Plain and simple, no. We almost had a fight between Peisty and the sea creature that was like a seahorse, a giant seahorse. But she calmed the seahorse down and there was no fight. Then there was the princess versus Sinbad. That really didn't happen. And then the princess's subordinate versus Sinbad and everyone else. That really didn't happen. So I can't really score any points with fighting. But as for humor, oh yeah, definitely. The princess being fakely defiled by Sinbad. I love that. And then Sinbad's men. Like, yeah, we can see that happening. Sinbad's definitely a perv. Like, what? What kind of guys are this? You pick people that turn their backs on you, and turn their backs on you when you really need them. Now, that was worth laughing, definitely. And, well, we did get new characters, kind of, or at least more information with the new characters, like one of Sinbad's generals, which is Peisty. We got a little more background information with her powers, per se. So, again, I gave points where it was kind of due, and I love the episode in general. It's still worth watching, but again, final rating, 4 out of 5. And again, guys, that ends it for my walkthrough and review of Magi episode 20, but definitely comment down below, let me know, thumbs up, thumbs down, definitely subscribe, check me out on Twitter, and follow me if you like. But again, guys, let me know what you thought of this episode, and let me know what you think's going to happen in the next episode that's coming out. But again, guys, I gotta hit the bricks, and I gotta go. And before I go, I gotta say it, and I always say it, you can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.